Oh, what's up, guys and gals? This is Joey Wazelenko, and this is my first how-to video on how to keep reptiles and amphibians for beginners. Basically, in this video, I'm just going to make it plain and simple as possible. Recommend some awesome, sweet beginner reptiles and amphibians for people that are just getting into the hobby or interested in them. Really cool animals. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and some other little things. So if you're into keeping reptiles or interested in keeping reptiles and amphibians, sit back, crack open a couple beers, and just enjoy this sweet vid. Alright, first and foremost, when you want to buy a reptile and amphibian and you don't really know anything about them, research. Go to the library, just rent out tons of books on reptiles and amphibians and how to keep them, or look on the internet, tons of this information on basic husbandry, feeding, type of lighting, anything and everything you want to know about them. Like, just so you know as much as you can about the animal, so you don't impulse buy something and you're stuck with an animal you can't take care of and it's just something that you can't afford or whatever reason it is. Just make sure you do your research and you know what you're getting into, because reptiles, they're a lot different obviously from cats and dogs. They don't look the same, that's for number one. And reptiles and amphibians are cold-blooded, so I mean they need lots of heat. But I mean, just like I said, research, I recommend that highly for anyone that's getting into us. Research is always a great thing to do. So learn as much as you can and then look into what you want to buy. Number two, I'm going to tell you guys about some sweet animals, some awesome reptiles and amphibians that are awesome for people just getting into the hobby. For lizards, I would recommend these highly for anyone that's just getting into it and wants to learn and wants one that would be good for them. Simple maintenance, basically. And that would be a bearded dragon. Bearded dragons, they come from Australia. They're really cool. I would say they're, for the most part, they're pretty docile. I personally have never gotten bitten by one, but that don't mean that they won't ever bite you. So, it's just one of those things, any animal will bite you. I'm going to give you that heads up right now. I've been with animals all my life. I've gotten bitten by something at some point. Not bearded dragons, though, so I mean, for the most part, I'd say they're extremely docile. They can tolerate handling, which is what most keepers like, that you can pick them up and look at them and they can sit with you and whatever. They're really cool animals. I'd recommend them highly. I mean, simple maintenance. They like heat that's usually optimal around 80 to 85. They need full spectrum lighting, and what I mean by that is a light bulb that emits UV wavelengths, and UV wavelengths is the type of lighting that the sun emits. It emulates that, which is what you need. Right here, for example, this Power Sun bulb, highly recommend it. It's super expensive though, that's the big problem. You're probably looking at, for this, retail $70, which is ridiculous, but I mean, it does a lot. It gives off heat and the UV wavelengths, which the animal needs. It's a dual threat, basically, type of thing. I love them. I recommend it. They're great for reptiles if you keep them inside, obviously. So, I mean, highly recommend it. They're really good light bulbs. So, I mean, look on other sites to get them cheaper. I mean, $70 is a lot. I know that's a lot for people. So, I mean, anywhere you can get cheaper, go for it. Sometimes I picked some of these up brand new at garage sales. I'm a big garage sailor because I'm cheap and that's the way I roll. I get tons of stuff there. That's another way to cut corners if you want to save money too. Garage sale for your stuff. And don't buy everything that the pet store recommends. That's my own personal opinion. Sometimes they'll give you these water dishes that they do everything and they're recommended. I don't go by that jazz, all that poop. I go with my own type of thing, like this right here in front of me. These little water dishes, they're called terracotta plant dishes. They're super simple. They're only like a couple bucks. Great water dishes. I mean, especially for like certain frogs, if you're into frogs, which I'll be talking about here in a minute. They do the justice. They're not too deep, depending on the size of the dish you get here. But I mean, this would be perfect for certain species of frogs, for them to sit in, to soak in. So I mean, I recommend this. It saves you a lot of money too. You're probably looking for like certain pet bowls or whatever that they have at those pet stores. $10 maybe, which is stupid for plastic if you ask me. This is $1. I mean, if it breaks, what are you out? $1? It's not that big of a deal. Recommend these for water dishes. Another type of lizard I would recommend that I don't see much or hear much about, but I keep. They're called Uromastyx. They're from the Middle East. They're really cool. Sometimes like the slang for them is like a spiny-tailed lizard, I've heard too. They're really cool. Really super simple in my opinion. I mean, they need high heat. That's the biggest thing with those guys. Super high heat, probably looking at 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit as a constant. And at nighttime they need heat too. And I have, usually for mine, I have a 100 watt heat infrared bulb that runs 24 hours a day and usually keeps around 80. It drops to. It's not too cold, so I mean, they're pretty good. Feeding with them is simple, just like bearded dragons. If I didn't mention, I don't think I did. Feeding with them is not too hard. They're vegetarians. Uromastyx are vegetarians. They eat spring mix, squash. I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, if you guys are really interested in it, I can write up a super awesome care sheet for you guys. Same with bearded dragons. Bearded dragons, they eat crickets. That's their primary diet. I would say their staple. Make sure you definitely feed them that. You don't want to overfeed though. Crickets, I mean, I've heard other people use mealworms, etc., other bugs and stuff. But I mean, they're super simple, really cool. And with Uromastyx too, I mean, you could save money here too, just for the fact that they're vegetarian. Because crickets, if you guys know anything about crickets, that is a huge racket. I mean, it's tons of money. I mean, like 1,000 crickets, even though it's not, doesn't seem that much, it's like 25 bucks. But I mean, $25 if you got to buy 1,000 crickets every so often, depending on how many animals to keep, it adds up. Just my own personal opinion. Those are a couple lizards I would recommend for beginners. I think they're pretty cool.